The day my daughter Vanessa stopped believing me was the day my world ended and began again. I remember standing in her pristine kitchen, the one I'd helped her pay for when she and Derek bought the house 3 years ago, holding my phone with shaking hands. On that phone was a recording that would haunt me for the rest of my life. My granddaughter Emma's voice, small and frightened, whispering words that no 10-year-old should ever have to say. "Mom, you need to listen to this," I said, my voice steady despite the hurricane in my chest. "Please, it's about Emma. It's about Derek." Vanessa didn't even look up from her laptop. She was working from home that day, something about a quarterly report due by 5. "Mom, not now. I told you, Derek would never." "Vanessa Marie Patterson, look at me." I used her full name, something I hadn't done since she was 16 and came home past curfew. That got her attention. She closed her laptop with a sharp click, her hazel eyes, so much like her father's, God rest his soul, filled with irritation. "What is it now? More of your paranoid theories about Derek? Mom, I thought we were past this." "Listen to the recording." I pressed play. Emma's voice filled the kitchen. "Grandma, I'm using the watch you gave me, the one with the recording thing. I need you to know. When Mommy goes to yoga on Thursday nights and Derek says he's putting me to bed, he doesn't just read stories. Vanessa snatched the phone from my hand before Emma could finish. "How dare you? How dare you record my daughter without my permission? How dare you try to poison her mind against her own stepfather?" "I didn't record her. She recorded herself. She came to me, Vanessa, 2 days ago, when Derek was at that conference in Chicago. She came home from school, and she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Get out." "What?" "I said get out of my house." Vanessa's face had gone white, then red, her hands trembling as she deleted the recording. "I will not stand here and listen to you destroy my marriage with your sick fantasies. Derek is a good man. He loves Emma. He's been more of a father to her than Brandon ever was." "Vanessa, please. You've always been jealous of my happiness, haven't you? Ever since Dad died and I moved on with my life. You can't stand that I found someone who treats me well, who has a good job, who's everything you think I deserve. So you're making up these horrible lies." "I'm not making anything up. Emma came to me. She's terrified of him." Emma is a child going through a difficult transition. Her therapist said she might act out, might try to get attention. And you're encouraging it. You probably put these ideas in her head. I felt something crack inside me then. Not break, not yet, but crack. Are you hearing yourself right now? Your daughter is trying to tell you that something is wrong, and you're calling her a liar? My daughter is confused, and you're making it worse. Vanessa stood up, grabbing her phone. "I'm calling Derek. He deserves to know that his mother-in-law is trying to destroy this family." "If you call him, if you tell him what I know, he'll know that Emma talked. And then what? What do you think he'll do to keep her quiet?" Vanessa's hand froze over her phone. For just a moment, one terrible, hopeful moment, I saw doubt flicker across her face. Then it was gone, replaced by something harder, colder. "I'm going to say this once, Mother. Stay away from Emma. Stay away from my family. If I see you near my daughter again, I will call the police and get a restraining order. Do you understand me?" I looked at my daughter, my only child, the baby I'd raised alone after her father passed, the girl I'd worked 2 jobs to put through college, and I barely recognized her. "I understand," I said quietly. "I understand that you're choosing a man you've known for 3 years over your own mother. I understand that you're choosing your own comfort over your daughter's safety, and I understand that when the truth comes out, and it will, Vanessa, it always does, you're going to have to live with this moment for the rest of your life. Get out." I picked up my purse and walked to the door, but before I left, I turned back one last time. I'm 71 years old. I've buried a husband, survived breast cancer, and raised you by myself. You think I'm some helpless old woman who doesn't know what she's talking about? You're wrong, and you're going to find out just how wrong. I walked out into the October afternoon, got in my car, and drove home to my small house on Maple Street. The house where I'd lived for 43 years. The house where I'd raised Vanessa after her father's heart attack when she was 12. The house where Emma had spent countless summer afternoons before Derek came into the picture. And as I sat in my driveway gripping the steering wheel, I made myself a promise. I was going to save my granddaughter, even if it meant losing my daughter forever. But what they didn't know was that I had already been planning. They didn't know that this 71-year-old woman had one more card to play. They didn't know about the backup of that recording I'd already sent to 3 different people. And they certainly didn't know about the appointment I had scheduled for the very next morning. Because sometimes, when the people you love won't listen, you have to make them hear you. 2 months earlier. August. I should have seen it sooner. That's what keeps me up at night. The thought that maybe if I'd been paying closer attention, if I hadn't been so wrapped up in my own routine, I could have protected Emma before anything happened. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was on my usual walk through Riverside Park. 6:30 a.m., like clockwork, rain or shine. At my age, routine is medicine. Keep moving, keep the joints from seizing up, keep the mind sharp. My doctor, young Dr. Fitzgerald, can't be more than 40, tells me I'm in better shape than most people 20 years younger. I was walking with my friend Dorothy Chen. We'd been doing these morning walks together for 15 years. Ever since we both retired from the school district. Dorothy taught 2nd grade for 35 years. I was a secretary in the main office for 28. Did I tell you Emma's starting 5th grade next week? I said, my breath making little clouds in the cool morning air. Vanessa sent me her school supply list. You wouldn't believe how much everything costs now. $73 for supplies. In your day, you walked uphill both ways in the snow, Dorothy teased, but her smile was kind. How's she doing with the new stepdad situation? I hesitated. Derek? He seems fine. Nice enough, I suppose. Works in pharmaceutical sales, makes good money. Vanessa seems happy. But? Dorothy knew me too well. But nothing. I barely know the man. They got married so quickly. What was it, 8 months of dating? And Emma barely mentioned him before the wedding. But Vanessa says I'm being overprotective. Dorothy squeezed my arm. You raised her alone, Helen. Of course you're protective. But she's 36 years old. She can make her own choices. I nodded, but something gnawed at me. Call it a grandmother's intuition, call it paranoia. I didn't know what to call it, but something felt off. That afternoon, Emma came to visit. Vanessa had started dropping her off at my house on Tuesdays and Thursdays after school while she worked late. I loved those afternoons, making her snacks, helping with homework, listening to her chatter about her friends and teachers. But that day, Emma was quiet. How was school, sweetheart? I asked, setting out apple slices and peanut butter, her favorite. Fine. She didn't look at me, just stared at the kitchen table. Just fine? What did you learn today? Stuff. I sat down across from her. Emma rose. What's wrong? She looked up at me then, and I saw something in her eyes that made my chest tighten. Fear. This child who'd always been so bright, so open, so full of life. She looked scared. Nothing, Grandma. I'm just tired. Did something happen at school? Did someone say something mean to you? No. She reached for an apple slice, but her hand was shaking slightly. Can I stay here tonight? Instead of going home? Well, honey, your mom is expecting you for dinner. Why do you want to stay here? Derek's home early from work today. I like being here better. Warning bells went off in my head, but I didn't want to alarm her. Of course you like being here. You're my favorite granddaughter. I'm your only granddaughter, she said, managing a small smile. which makes you automatically the favorite. Logical. I winked at her, and she giggled. A real laugh. But Emma, if something's wrong, you can tell me. You know that, right? You can tell me anything. Her smile faded. She looked down at her hands. I know, Grandma. But she didn't tell me anything. Not that day. The next few weeks passed in a blur of ordinary routine. My pension check came in, $2,847 a month, plus my Social Security of $1,923. Enough to live on comfortably, with a little left over to spoil Emma. I had my hair done at Patricia's salon on Thursday morning. I attended my book club on Friday evening. We were reading one of those mystery novels where the detective is a cat. Ridiculous, but entertaining. I had Sunday dinner with my WhatsApp group. We called ourselves the Silver Swans, 5 women who'd worked together at the school district and refused to fade quietly into old age. There was Dorothy, of course, Ruth Washington, who'd been the school librarian, Margaret O'Brien, the former guidance counselor, and Sandra Levy, who'd taught 6th grade math and could still calculate a tip faster than any computer. We met at Golden Corral, the early bird special at 4 p.m., because that's what we'd become, women who ate dinner while the sun was still high. But we laughed until our sides hurt, and we gossiped about our children and grandchildren, and we reminded each other that we were still here, still alive, still relevant. "How's that new son-in-law of yours?" Ruth asked, spearing a piece of fried chicken. "Vanessa still walking on air?" "Derek's fine," I said automatically. Then, because these women had known me for 30 years and could read me like large print books. "Actually, I don't know. Vanessa doesn't really talk to me about her relationship. And Emma what?" Margaret leaned forward, her sharp eyes behind her bifocals missing nothing. "She's been different lately, quieter. She used to tell me everything, every little detail about school, her friends, what she had for lunch. Now I have to pull information out of her like teeth." "She's 10, Sandra said reasonably. "Girls get moody at that age. Remember when your Vanessa turned 10? You called me crying because she said she hated you. This is different. It's not moodiness. It's withdrawal." Dorothy set down her fork. "Helen, what are you really saying?" I looked around the table at these women, my friends, my tribe. We'd been through divorces and deaths, cancer scares and financial troubles. We'd held each other up through the worst moments of our lives. "I don't know," I admitted. "Maybe I'm just being a paranoid old woman. But something feels wrong, and no one will listen to me." Ruth reached across the table and took my hand. Her grip was still strong despite her arthritis. "We're listening. We always listen. And your instincts have never been wrong before." I held on to that thought like a lifeline. September came, and Emma started 5th grade at Riverside Elementary, the same school where I'd worked for 28 years, where I still knew most of the staff. I ran into her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, at the grocery store one Saturday afternoon. She'd been fresh out of college when I retired. Now she was a veteran teacher with gray creeping into her black hair. "Mrs. Patterson, how wonderful to see you!" She gave me a warm hug over the shopping cart. "I have Emma in my class this year. She's such a sweet girl." "She is. How's she doing?" Mrs. Rodriguez's smile faltered slightly. "Well, academically she's doing fine. Very bright, just like her mother was." "But," she hesitated. "But what?" "She seems very anxious. She's been asking to go to the nurse's office a lot. Stomach aches, headaches, that sort of thing. Usually around 2 o'clock, right before dismissal. And she's been very clingy with me, wanting to help with things after school, finding excuses to stay longer." She lowered her voice. "Mrs. Patterson, I've been teaching for 18 years now. I recognize the signs when a child doesn't want to go home." My blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm concerned. I've called her mother twice to suggest a meeting. But Mrs. Burke, I'm sorry. I still think of her as Vanessa Patterson. Said Emma's just adjusting to having a stepfather in the house, and there's nothing to worry about." "Do you believe that?" Mrs. Rodriguez looked me straight in the eye. "No, I don't." "What should I do?" "Document everything. Write down dates, times, anything Emma says to you that concerns you. If you see any physical signs, bruises, injuries, anything, take pictures. And if you truly believe something is wrong—" She glanced around the produce section, then pulled a business card from her purse. "This is my cousin. She's a family lawyer. If you ever need help, call her." I took the card with trembling fingers. Laura Martinez, attorney at law. Family and child advocacy. "Thank you," I whispered. "We protect our children, Mrs. Patterson. All of us, even when their own parents won't." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my bed, the same bed I'd shared with my husband George for 34 years before his heart gave out, and I stared at the ceiling. I thought about the night Emma was born. How Vanessa had called me at 2 a.m. from the hospital, crying and laughing at the same time. "Mom, she's perfect. She's absolutely perfect." I'd driven through a rainstorm to get there, and when I held that tiny baby girl for the first time, I'd made her a silent promise. I will always protect you. But how do you protect someone when you can't even get close to them? The next Tuesday, Emma came to my house after school again. This time, I was ready. "Emma, honey, I got you something." I pulled out a small box from my desk drawer. Her eyes lit up, the first real spark of joy I'd seen in weeks. "A present? Why?" "Because I love you, and grandmas don't need a reason. Open it." Inside was a smartwatch, one of those fitness trackers that the young people wear. But this one had a special feature I'd researched carefully, a voice recording app that could be activated with a double tap. "Wow, a real smartwatch. Mom says I'm too young for one." "Well, Grandma says you're old enough. Now let me show you how it works." I spent the next 20 minutes teaching her all the features, and then, carefully, casually. "See this button? If you double tap it, it records audio. That way, if you ever need to remember something for school, like if a teacher gives you important instructions, you can just record it and listen back later." Emma's face went very still. "Oh, it's a handy feature," I continued, keeping my voice light. "And the recording saves automatically to the cloud, so even if something happens to the watch, the recordings stay safe." She looked up at me with those big brown eyes, Brandon's eyes, her biological father who'd walked out when she was 2. "Grandma? Can I tell you something?" My heart pounded. "Always, sweetheart. Always." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Shook her head. "Never mind. Thank you for the watch. I love it. Emma, I should do my homework now." And just like that, the door closed again. 3 days later, Derek left for a pharmaceutical conference in Chicago. He'd be gone for 4 days. On the second day of his absence, Emma came to my house straight from school. Vanessa had texted me, "Can Emma stay with you tonight? I have to work late on a project." I was in the garden, pulling weeds from my tomato plants, when I heard the back gate open. Emma walked through, and I knew immediately that something was wrong. She wasn't crying, not yet, but her face was pale, her hands were shaking, and she was clutching her backpack like a shield. "Emma?" I dropped my gardening gloves and hurried over. "What happened?" "Grandma, I need—" Her voice broke. I pulled her into my arms, and that's when the dam broke. She sobbed into my shoulder, her whole body shaking with the force of it. I held her tight, my own tears streaming down my face, whispering, it's okay, I've got you, you're safe." We stayed like that for a long time. When her sobs finally quieted to hiccups, I led her inside, sat her on the couch, and made her a cup of hot chocolate, the real kind, with cocoa powder and sugar and a splash of vanilla, the way her grandfather used to make it. "Emma," I said gently, sitting beside her, "talk to me, please." She stared into her hot chocolate. "You'll hate me." "What?" "Honey, I could never hate you." "Never." Mom will hate me. She'll say I'm lying. Why would she think you're lying? Emma's hands tightened around the mug. Because Derek is nice to her. He buys her flowers and takes her on dates and tells her she's beautiful. She's happier than she's been since Dad left. And if I tell her what he does when she's not there, she won't believe me. She'll choose him. I know she will. My blood turned to ice. What does he do, Emma? She was quiet for so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he comes into my room at night. When Mom is asleep or at yoga or working late, he says we're playing special games, secret games. He says if I tell anyone, they won't believe me because I'm just a kid and he's an adult. He says Mom will be sad if I ruin her happiness. He says... Her voice broke. He says if I tell, he'll make sure I never see you again, Grandma. He knows you're the only one I can talk to. I thought I might be sick. I thought I might break something. I thought I might drive to Chicago right now and... No, I had to be smart. I had to be careful. For Emma's sake. Emma, I want you to do something for me. Something very important. She looked up at me with tear-stained cheeks. What? I want you to use that watch I gave you. The next time Derek comes into your room, I want you to double-tap the record button and hide the watch under your pillow. Can you do that? But what if he finds it? He won't. It looks like a regular watch. He'll think you just forgot to take it off. And Emma, I believe you. I believe every word you're saying. And I'm going to protect you. I promise. She threw her arms around me again. I'm so scared, Grandma. I know, sweetheart. But you're not alone anymore. You have me. And we're going to make sure you're safe. That night, I called an emergency meeting of the Silver Swans. They came within an hour. Dorothy, Ruth, Margaret, and Sandra gathering in my living room like a council of war. I'd made coffee and set out cookies, but no one touched them. I told them everything Emma had said. That son of a bitch, Ruth said quietly. Ruth, who never swore, who'd been a deacon at her church for 30 years. We need to call the police, Margaret insisted. Right now. No, I said. Not yet. Helen, think about it. It's her word against his. He's a respected professional with no record. She's a 10-year-old child. And her own mother is married to him, financially dependent on him. What do you think will happen? At best, there's an investigation that goes nowhere, and Emma has to live in that house with him, knowing she tried to tell and nothing happened. At worst, Vanessa convinces herself Emma is lying or confused, and I lose all access to my granddaughter. So what do you suggest? Sandra asked. I suggest we be smart. I gave Emma a recording device. If she can get him on tape, actual evidence of what he's doing, then we have something solid, something no one can deny. That's incredibly risky, Dorothy said. You're asking that child to... I'm asking her to protect herself with the only weapon she has. The truth. I looked around at my friends. But I need your help. I need witnesses. I need people who can testify that Emma told them what was happening before any recording exists. So they can't say I coached her or put words in her mouth. One by one, they nodded. We're with you, Ruth said. Whatever you need. There's something else. I pulled out the business card Mrs. Rodriguez had given me. I need to talk to a lawyer. I need to understand what legal options I have. As a grandparent, what rights do I have if my daughter won't protect her own child? Margaret took the card, looked at it, and pulled out her phone. My daughter used Laura Martinez for her custody case. She's good, tough. Let me text her, see if she can see you tomorrow. Thank you. My voice cracked. All of you. Thank you. We don't abandon our own, Sandra said firmly. That child needs us. She needs you, and we're going to make damn sure she's protected. After they left, I sat alone in my living room, looking at the photos on my mantel. Vanessa at every age, baby, toddler, teenager, bride. Emma's school pictures, that gap-toothed smile that lit up my world. I'd always thought of myself as a peaceful woman, a grandmother who baked cookies and knitted scarves and stayed out of trouble. But that night, I discovered something about myself. When someone threatens my granddaughter, I become something else entirely. I become dangerous. Laura Martinez saw me the next morning at 8 a.m. Her office was in a modern building downtown, all glass and steel, but her office itself was warm and comfortable, with photos of her own children on the desk. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with dark hair pulled back in a neat bun and kind eyes that turned steel hard when I told her why I was there. "First," she said, "I want you to know that I believe you. I've handled too many of these cases not to recognize the pattern. The child who's afraid to go home, the parent who's in denial, the family member who sees the truth but can't get anyone to listen." I felt tears prick my eyes. "Thank you. Now let's talk about options. As Emma's grandmother, you don't automatically have custody rights unless certain conditions are met. But if you can prove that her mother is willfully endangering her by keeping her in a home with an abuser, you may be able to petition for emergency custody." What would I need to prove that? Evidence? Documentation. The recording Emma might be able to get would be huge, though we need to be careful about consent laws in this state. Written statements from Emma, testimony from her teacher about the behavioral changes, medical records if she's been taken to a doctor for suspicious injuries, and statements from other adults Emma has told about the abuse. I pulled out a notebook. I've been writing everything down. Dates, times, what she said to me, and my friends, 4 of them, are willing to testify that Emma told them about the abuse yesterday. Laura nodded approvingly. "Good, very good. Have you reported this to Child Protective Services?" "Not yet. I'm afraid if I do and they investigate without enough evidence, it will just make things worse for Emma." I understand that fear. But legally, as someone who has knowledge of child abuse, you're a mandatory reporter. You have to report it. My stomach dropped. Even if it might put her in more danger? Unfortunately, yes. But here's what we can do. We can make the report together, with a lawyer present. We can insist on a thorough investigation, not just a cursory visit. And we can file for emergency custody simultaneously, arguing that Emma needs to be removed from the home while the investigation is ongoing. Would that work? Maybe, maybe not. Family courts are reluctant to separate children from their parents without overwhelming evidence. But if we have that recording, if Emma can get him to say something incriminating... She leaned forward. "Mrs. Patterson, I'm going to be very honest with you. This is going to be hard. Your daughter is going to fight you. She may never forgive you. Derek is going to deny everything and paint you as a vindictive mother-in-law. You may lose your relationship with your daughter entirely. Are you prepared for that?" I thought about Emma's face when she said, "I'm so scared, Grandma." "Yes," I said. "I'm prepared." "Then let's get started." Derek came home from Chicago on Saturday morning. Emma texted me from the smartwatch. "He's back. I'm scared." I texted back, "You're so brave. I love you. Be careful." The waiting was agony. All day Saturday, I jumped every time my phone buzzed, but nothing came. Sunday morning, I went to church, something I hadn't done regularly since George died, but I needed to be around people, needed to feel less alone. I sat in the back pew and prayed harder than I'd prayed in years. "Please," I whispered, "please keep her safe. Please give me the strength to do what needs to be done." Sunday afternoon, my phone rang. Emma's number. "Grandma?" Her voice was shaking. "I got it. I got him on the recording. He thought I was asleep, but I was awake, and the watch was under my pillow. And I turned it on, and he said things. Grandma, he said terrible things, and I got it all." "Are you safe right now?" "Mom and Derek are at the grocery store. I said I had homework." "Grandma, I'm so scared. What do I do?" "Listen to me very carefully. I'm going to send you a link through your watch. It's going to upload that recording to a special secure folder. Once it's uploaded, you can delete it from your watch so Derek can't find it. Can you do that? Yes. Emma, you are the bravest person I know. Your grandfather would be so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Will this make it stop? My heart broke. Yes, baby, this will make it stop. I promise you. After we hung up, I immediately sent the secure upload link, something Laura Martinez had set up for me. Then I called her, called Dorothy, called my other friends. We have it. We have the evidence. 20 minutes later, Emma sent me a message. Upload complete. Recording deleted from watch. I downloaded the file, put in my earbuds, and pressed play. I got through 45 seconds before I had to stop. Before I ran to my bathroom and threw up. Before I sat on my bathroom floor and cried like I hadn't cried since George's funeral. Because I'd heard Derek's voice, syrupy and false, telling my granddaughter all the things he was going to do to her, calling it a game, telling her it was their special secret, saying such vile, horrifying things that I couldn't believe they were coming from a human mouth. And I'd heard Emma's voice, small and terrified, saying, I don't want to play this game. Please, I want to go to sleep. And Derek laughing. But you're awake now, aren't you? Sweetheart? I called Laura Martinez at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night. She answered on the second ring. I have the recording, I said, and it's worse than you can imagine. Can you email it to me? I'll listen to it tonight and call you first thing in the morning. Mrs. Patterson, are you okay? No, but I will be. Once that monster is behind bars. We're going to make that happen. I promise you. Monday morning, Laura called me at 8:30. She sounded shaken. I've listened to the recording 3 times. Mrs. Patterson, this is clear evidence of child sexual abuse. With your permission, I'm going to file an emergency custody petition today and report this to CPS and the police immediately. We're also going to request a restraining order keeping Derek away from Emma. This is enough. This is more than enough. Do it, I said. Do everything. I need to warn you, your daughter is going to be blindsided. They're going to show up at her house, possibly arrest Derek, possibly remove Emma from the home. This is going to be traumatic for everyone involved. More traumatic than leaving my granddaughter in that house for one more night? No, you're right. I'll call you with updates. I spent the rest of Monday in a fog. I cleaned my house top to bottom, scrubbing floors that didn't need scrubbing, organizing cabinets that didn't need organizing, keeping my hands busy so my mind wouldn't spiral. At 4:30 p.m., Laura called. The police have arrested Derek Burke at his workplace. He's being charged with multiple counts of child sexual abuse. Emma has been placed in emergency protective custody. CPS is evaluating the home situation. Where is she? Can I see her? She's at a temporary foster home right now. They're trying to reach your daughter. Mrs. Patterson, there's something you should know. Emma asked for you. She told the CPS worker that you're the only one she trusts. I started crying again. Can I get her? Can she come stay with me? We're working on it. I've filed the emergency custody petition with all the evidence. We have a hearing scheduled for Wednesday morning. If all goes well, Emma could be with you by Wednesday afternoon. And my daughter? I don't know. I'm sorry. Vanessa called me at 6:15 p.m. I knew it was coming, but I still wasn't prepared. She was screaming. What have you done? What have you done? The police arrested Derek at work. They came to our house. They took Emma. They're saying these horrible, disgusting things, and it's all your fault. You poisoned her mind. You made her say these things. Vanessa, I didn't make her say anything. Emma told me the truth, and I had a legal obligation to report it. She's lying. She's a confused little girl who's angry about having a stepdad, and you encouraged her lies because you never approved of my marriage. There's a recording, Vanessa. She went silent. There's a recording of Derek in Emma's room. His voice, saying things I can barely repeat. Emma's voice telling him to stop. It's all there. Every horrible second of it. No, that's not. Derek would never. You must have edited it. You must have. I didn't edit anything. Emma recorded it herself on a watch I gave her. And the police have the original file. There's no way to fake that. I don't believe you. I don't believe any of this. Vanessa, please. For once in your life, put your daughter first. She needs you. She needs her mother to believe her, to protect her, to... My daughter needs to stop telling lies that could destroy an innocent man's life. And you're dead to me. Do you hear me? You're dead to me. Don't ever contact me again. Don't come near my house. Don't... Your daughter was being raped, Vanessa. The word hung in the air like a bomb. No, Vanessa whispered. Yes, by your husband. In your house, while you slept down the hall. And instead of facing that truth, you're yelling at me. This isn't real. This isn't happening. You're wrong. You have to be wrong. I wish I was. God, I wish I was. She hung up on me. I sat in my kitchen, holding my phone, feeling older than my 71 years. That was the moment I knew I'd lost my daughter. Maybe not forever, but for now, for a long time. But I'd saved my granddaughter. And that had to be enough. The hearing on Wednesday was brutal. Derek's lawyer painted me as a bitter, interfering mother-in-law who'd manipulated a vulnerable child. Vanessa testified that I'd always been jealous of her marriage, that I'd never given Derek a fair chance, that Emma had been perfectly happy until I started putting ideas in her head. But then Laura played the recording. The courtroom went silent. I watched the judge's face go white, then red. I watched Derek's lawyer close his eyes. I watched Vanessa crumble in her seat, her hands over her mouth, finally, hearing the truth. The judge didn't take long to decide. Emergency custody is granted to Mrs. Helen Patterson. Mr. Burke is to have no contact with the minor child. Mrs. Burke will have supervised visitation only until she completes a reunification program and demonstrates that she can prioritize her daughter's safety. This court finds that the child was in imminent danger and that Mrs. Patterson acted appropriately to protect her. Emma came home with me that afternoon. She walked into my house carrying a small backpack with all her belongings, and the first thing she said was, "Can I stay in Grandpa's old room?" "You can stay anywhere you want, sweetheart. This is your home now." She burst into tears. I thought Mom would choose me. When she heard the recording, I thought she'd believe me and choose me. But she didn't. I held her while she cried, just like I'd held her mother so many times before. Your mom is very confused right now. She's angry and hurt, and she doesn't know how to face what happened. But that's not your fault. None of this is your fault. Will she ever love me again? She's always loved you. She loves you right now. She's just lost, and it might take her a long time to find her way back. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. That was 2 months ago. Emma lives with me now, full-time. She sees a therapist twice a week, a wonderful woman named Dr. Kim, who specializes in childhood trauma. She's back at school, and Mrs. Rodriguez tells me she's starting to smile again, starting to participate in class. Derek is in jail, awaiting trial. His bail was denied. The prosecutor says they have an ironclad case, and he'll likely spend the next 20 years behind bars. Vanessa is a different story. She comes to supervised visits every other weekend. The first few visits, she could barely look at Emma, but slowly, something is shifting. Last week, she hugged Emma and whispered, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." It's not enough, not yet. But it's a start. As for me, I learned something about myself these past few months. I learned that being old doesn't mean being powerless. It means having the wisdom to know when to fight and the courage to see it through. It means understanding that sometimes love requires you to be the villain in someone else's story, so you can be the hero in the story that really matters. My daughter may hate me right now. That's a wound I'll carry for the rest of my life. But every morning, I wake up and make Emma breakfast. Every afternoon, I pick her up from school. Every night, I tuck her into bed and tell her she's safe. And she is safe. Finally, truly safe. The Silver Swans still meet for early bird dinner every Sunday. But now Emma comes with us, and she's the youngest swan in the flock. She giggles at our jokes and listens to our stories. And slowly, so slowly, she's becoming a child again, instead of a frightened little girl carrying terrible secrets. Dorothy told me last week, "You did the right thing, Helen. The hardest thing, but the right thing." I don't know if I did the right thing. I only know I did the only thing I could do. Would you have forgiven them? Or would you have stood your ground like I did? Sometimes I wonder if younger people understand what it's like to be told you're wrong, you're paranoid, you're too old to know what you're talking about, and having to fight anyway because a child's life depends on it. Would you have had the courage to lose your daughter to save your granddaughter? Would you have been willing to be called a liar, a manipulator, a bitter old woman, all to protect someone who couldn't protect herself? I don't have all the answers. I just know that every night when I check on Emma and see her sleeping peacefully in her room, I know I made the right choice, even if it cost me everything else.